Hi guys, Side by Side Australia podcast, episode 7. This is the final one for 2024 for season 1. Thanks for logging in again. If you're watching us on video, g'day. If you're not watching us on video and you're just doing the audio podcast, you probably didn't see me wave just then, so that probably doesn't make any sense. Just a couple of things to get through in this final episode for 2024. We are going to have a quick chat with Ben Casella, who owns Adrenaline Off-Road four-wheel drive stores and does a bunch of tours around Australia. A really good fella. I did a Cape York trip with him a few years back with Can-Am and sat in the passenger seat beside him for a week. Great guy, really level head, fantastic tour operator. We'll get into him very shortly. Then we're going to have a chat to Lisa O'Connor, who's a fantastic contact up in the Pack Saddle region, who helped organise our big Pack Saddle station country ride. She owns a couple of the stations, of the 4 stations that we rode in up there. And obviously all of the funds that we were raising all year for the charity were going to her Pack Saddle Progress Association. So we had a bit of a chat with her as well. I'll get to that shortly also. And then we're going to have a chat about 2025, about what we're going to do. There's been a few changes in what we're able to do. But it's all super positive, and it's all headed down the right track. But we'll get to that after. But for now, let's jump in and have a chat with Ben. Welcome to the Side by Side Australia podcast. We've got Ben Casella from Adrenaline Off-Road over in Sydney, or actually all over the place at the moment. We've got you on the podcast now. I just want to jump in before we get into what you do and why you're on the podcast, and just give a bit of perspective of how we know each other, because we spent a week sitting next to each other up in the Cape a few years ago now. So that wasn't one of your tours, but that was a tour that you were lead rider for it was actually for Can-Am, but run through a different tour operator. Yes. And that was a fantastic trip. As much as I spent my whole time sitting in the passenger seat, I must say, if anyone needs to sit in a passenger seat in an X3, it's never a nice place to be, but mate, you held it together. I'm very appreciative. You're a good steerer.
Thank you.
So obviously the Cape you've done a bunch of times. Now the different businesses that you've got Adrenaline Off-Road, which was originally a four-wheel drive shop based in Sydney, but you've expanded now.
Yeah, so our original shop was in Sydney. We started that in 2016, started 2016. This year we've expanded store-wise interstate for the first time. So we have a store in Pakenham. So that's Adrenaline Off-Road Pakenham.
So that's in just out of Melbourne? Yep.
Just to the east of Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sort of looking at some other states at the moment. So there's 3 other locations in Australia we're looking at that we hopefully 2025 will start bringing some more stores on.
Tell me one of them South Australia.
One of them is South Australia.
Nice. We could do with a couple of good four-wheel drive shops here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Very good. But that's four-wheel drives. That's not side-by-side?
No, that's for all four-wheel drive accessories.
So what's your connection with the whole side-by-side thing? How'd you get into that?
So there's a number of things. Obviously, we were partnering with a tour company back in the day when I met you, and we were sort of lead riding some tours for them up in the Cape. I've just had quads and side-by-sides forever. So it was an area of interest for me. And then more recently, I guess from a form perspective, it is one of the accredited forms of training that we do. So we do four-wheel drive training, but we also do side-by-side training. Yeah,
right. So you've just come back from a mega trip in Tassie, which we're all super jealous about. I'm thinking of not following you on socials anymore. But you were actually working in amongst all of your trail riding. You were doing some side-by-side training courses.
Yeah, so we did a week's worth of training. Some of that was four-wheel drive, some of that was side-by-side. And that was sort of the final week that we were in Tassie for that 3 weeks there.
Right. So just to put it all into perspective, we were just chatting before about where you actually live. So you're in Sydney maybe 20% of the time. The rest of the time, it's you and your wife, Hayley, on the road?
Yeah, that's right. So we've got a Unimog truck that we live out of when we're on the road.
Which is killer.
It's a nice bit of gear.
Yeah.
So that either sort of very few tours we run with that. The rest of the time it's a base. So we might do some tours or some training and live out of it. Again, because we're on the road so much, you need some comfort.
Yep. And that's got plenty.
Yeah, it's nice.
So you took that down to Tassie?
We did not. We tried to get it on the boat, and the quote, I think I did it the wrong way, because the quote that we got back was $10,000 return for the truck and the trailer with the buggy on it.
Yeah, mate. Next time, give me a holler, because we go down to Tassie a lot, obviously, for the Can-Am work I do. I've got a couple of really good contacts down there, some guys who know some people. So, yeah, next time, give us a holler. But, yeah, it is tricky with the Spirit, getting bigger rigs on there when you haven't booked, like a year in advance. just depending on what events are happening in Tassie at the time.
Yeah, that's it. So we ended up taking our cruiser across.
Yep. Just the little cruiser. Poor thing.
Just a little cruiser, yeah.
All right, so you've got the four-wheel drive shops, which obviously you've got managers running them, and so that ticks along nicely. You've got the tour operation that you guys do yourself, and then you do side-by-side tours as well. So what sort of areas are you doing the side-by-side tours in at the moment and coming up for 2025?
Yeah, so the side-by-side tours is a new product we've gotten off the ground this year. We've been toying with the idea and researching it, and these sort of things take a bit of time to get off the ground because you've got to do your recce the year before, and the next year that's when you start selling the tours. So the first one that we've listed and actually sold out 2 tours of now is Simpson Desert.
Yeah, great. So
that's
not your regular. Yeah, it's not your regular Simpson Desert. It's the private land. So it's not the national park or anything like that. It's the areas that most people couldn't get to.
That's right. So we'd like to, in the future, potentially do a west to east or an east to west Simpson Desert crossing, which is more traditional.
Yep.
At this point in time, we can't get the permits to do it legally, so we've stayed away from it and chosen to go on some private land that we could get permission to.
Yep.
It is still the Simpson Desert, but it's the northern part, which I find a bit more interesting anyway. So part of the area that we'll be doing in that particular trip is an area that the public can go to with a permit.
Okay.
But then part of it is off track. So we do an entire section away from the tracks, and that is the general public just can't go there at all. So it's a bit of a value add or a bonus that we can offer.
Yep. Yeah. So, and you're also telling me that you've got some stuff coming up in the NT, which I know is really tricky getting permits up there, unless you know somebody.
Yeah. Again, same Aboriginal land. We're working with the land councils and Aboriginal groups there, and we've secured permission to run tours in the Fink River area, which is quite a big area, but there's a particular part of the Fink River area that is under claim that we are essentially going to be running tours on. We're working with the local guy who's one of the elders there, and doing a recce job with him in March. So we'll be scouting the run, make sure it all works smoothly with our 2 machines, and then we're hopefully going to put some dates up in the next few weeks. The tours are looking to be September at this stage next year.
Yeah, good time of year too.
Yeah.
So when you do your recce's and when you do your tours, what side-by-sides are you actually running?
Yeah, so I've got 2 side-by-sides we use for that. We use the Can-Am Commander, it's a 4-seater.
Yeah, the Mac.
And then we use it's a XTP one. So
that's the desert sand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice, killer looking machine.
I quite like it.
Yeah, they are good.
And the other machine that we're using is a Defender 6x6.
Yeah, right.
And we use that because, often, so like this year, when we did the recce for Simpson, we had to go into the unknown. We had to carry as much food, fuel, and camping gear as we could.
Yep.
So that machine can carry heaps of gear, and it just sort of tracks along. It's not the fastest machine in the world, but particularly useful, I found.
Yeah, they're good. I've actually got one that BRP consigned to me that we use for doing media days and things like that, and I love it. It's the amount of gear you can carry in the back of them, because it's got a 6-foot-long tray. They're just mental.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get that thing stuck, then you're doing about 6 things wrong at once.
That's right. Yeah, very capable on most terrains.
Yeah, exactly. So now, if people want to get on board and do one of these tours with you, how do they find you?
So you can Google us, Adrenaline Off-Road. We have a website. Underneath the main part of the website, you'll see tours, tag-along tours. And then that will be mostly 4-wheel drive tours at this point in time, but we're slowly adding side-by-side products. So the Simpson tours are up there, although they're full, and the Big River one will be going up there shortly.
Beautiful. Okay, no dramas. Now, we spoke a little bit about the Cape, because obviously we've done the Cape together. That was under a different tour operator when we did it back in the day, and obviously the organisation and permits and everything, none of us had anything to do with. It's not as easy as people think to actually run a legit tour in the Cape. In fact, I don't think you can do it, can you?
No, so as far as our understanding is, you cannot legally run one on the Cape. The reason I sort of know that is we tried to get some permits earlier this year. The point the Queensland Park contacted us. And the reason they contacted us, they saw our Simpson Desert tour being advertised. They do keep an eye on what we do. And then straight away they've asked us to visit the Queensland Park section of the Simpson Desert, which it's not But I said, hey, well, I got you. Can we talk about the Cape? Because it's an area that I'd like to open up, and people are doing it anyway. Why not have a coordinated and safe way of doing it?
Yep.
And they sort of did a bit of research. Off the bat, he said, I don't think so, but I'll get back to you. He did get back to me, and he said, listen, Queensland Parks has a blanket policy of no ATVs in any of their estate, full stop.
So that's side-by-sides or quads?
Yeah, side-by-sides or quads. I assume there's an exception for their own machines, because I have seen them using machines in Queensland Parks in other parts of the state.
Yep.
But yeah, from an outsider's point of view, they weren't allowed at the moment. So it's something I think would be nice to be challenged and, try and see if we can facilitate something. But at this point, no.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where to get insurance, you need to have permission to be on the land that you're on. A lot of cases, like you think River tours and things like that, you get permission from the local land controllers, from the local Aboriginals up there, and it's easy enough to do if you've got that. But when you're talking about someone like the Cape, where there's hundreds and hundreds of kilometres that you want to travel, it's multiple properties, and to stitch them all together without going on any Crown land, public roads or anything like that, it's almost impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, that is an option we have looked at to see whether or not, because we've got a lot of contacts with landowners up there, whether the terrain is suitable and whether you can link them together without travelling on public roads. We haven't found a way to do that yet successfully, not in such a way that would be entertaining for people to come and do. I guess the other challenge is, you say Cape, everyone thinks teletrack, right?
Exactly.
So, until I can offer teletrack as part of a Cape tour, I don't know that it would be fair to bring people along and not take them up the teletrack. Yeah,
I mean, Punsand Bay is lovely, and leaving from down at Palm Cove or whatever is really nice. But yeah, that teletrack, that's the bit you really want to do. So just to everyone out there listen to the podcast, just be really careful if you're signing up to do tours. We only put tour operators and promote tours on this podcast that we know are legit. And that are doing everything legal, because obviously we don't want to promote anything that's dodgy, because we're affiliated with the manufacturers and we've got to do everything right, as we do. So if you're planning on doing a tour somewhere, just do a bit of research and make sure what they're doing is 100% legit, because you can screw it up for everybody else if something happens on one of these tours. And believe me, it does happen. There are injuries and deaths and things that happen up there that we generally don't hear about, but we just got to stick with the tour operators who are doing their due diligence and have the insurance cover and all of the permits to do it legit, like Adrenaline Off-Roader are doing. Ben, tell us about the HEMA thing. You've got the HEMA Tours logo on your shirt there, and we all use HEMA maps for a lot of the stuff we do. So what's your hook up there?
Yeah, so Adrenaline and HEMA are fairly closely partnered in a number of aspects. We run a whole HEMA tour program, so that every tour that we run is a HEMA tour. We also do GIS data collection for content like photos for their atlases and guides, and sometimes we'll go along and join them on a trip. So recently on the Cape, they wanted to do a teletrack video guide, so they could give us a call and we sort of escorted them up the track, and I actually ended up doing the commentary for the video guide for that. So that's one of the things we do for them. But yeah, we do quite a bit with HEMA.
Beautiful. So just so everyone knows, and anyone who thinks that I've got the best job in Australia, it's only the second best job in Australia. I think yours tops mine, Ben.
I definitely can't complain. I've got a great office to work in.
Yeah. It's Australia. Yeah,
that's it.
Beautiful. All right, buddy. Well, thank you very much for all that information. And yeah, everyone follow Adrenaline Off-Road on socials. Get into it. Check out all the stuff that Ben and the guys are doing. Follow his travels all across the country. And if you want to get any side-by-side training, especially at a corporate level, if you've got a group that wants to do side-by-side training, because let's face it, everyone jumps into a side-by-side buggy and thinks that, it's just like a car. I don't need training. Bullshit. It's really important that if you're going to be doing winching and recoveries and all that sort of stuff, it'd be handy to get some training. So yeah, give Ben a buzz, and you can get to him through socials. Just send him a message there to Adrenaline Off-Road and check out what the guys are up to.
Great. Thank you very much.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks for your time. Enjoy your Christmas.
You too. Have a good one.
Thanks, mate. See ya.
See ya.
All right. Today we've got Lisa O'Connor from up Pack Saddle Way from Nunduka Station. How you going today, mate? Bit nicer up there than it was the last couple of days?
Yeah, I'm good. It's nice and cool today, but the smoke from the Victorian fires is certainly hanging around here, blowing up here.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know about that. I've been living under a rock, I think. You guys are okay up there, though, yeah?
Big fires in the Grampians, and of course, or near the Grampians, and of course, the south winds brought it up here.
Wow, I can't believe it gets that far. Now, I'm not sure whether you checked, but we deposited a little bit of money into the Pack Saddle Progress Association account last night. There's a nice healthy $10,000 sitting there from the Side by Side Club of Australia. Did that all come through?
Yes, it did, and thank you very much. You know, for a little club, we're certainly kicking goals the last few years, and that we're working towards a mother's baby's air conditioned room for our events we have there. So that's certainly going a long way to start that process.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, that's what we're all about. We try to give the money that we can from the whole year to a charity in the regions that let us come up and have a ride. And obviously, the ride that we had up in your area that you helped us organise was such an epic ride. It was absolutely fantastic. So thank you again for everything you did to make that happen. So what are they going to use the money for?
I'll explain a bit. Pack Saddle Progress Association is basically a gymkhana, bikekana that we run every year at Easter time. We also have community events there and the children's Christmas tree. Over the years, we've got quite a bit of government funding to make our grounds just perfect. The latest government funding's all run out. Latest thing we're looking for is a mother's room. Otherwise, I always end up in my office, which is a bit hard to run a gymkhana and be in the office with 15 kids. But yeah, so a bigger room, you know, with a kettle and a microwave and an air conditioner, change mat, all that sort of stuff. So because Easter time can be quite hot, and just somewhere comfortable for the mums and the smaller babies to go for a few hours.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I'm glad we could help. That's great. And with any luck, we'll be back again next year for another ride up in your beautiful country in those fantastic stations you guys got up there.
Yeah, well, you're more than welcome, as I said to you when you were here.
Yeah, and the lunch that you put on, can you tell us a little bit about the other charity that you've got going on as well? Because you explained it to us, and I didn't really put much about that in the last podcast that we did. So if you can tell us about that lovely girl you're helping out.
Little girl, and honestly, I cannot pronounce what she's got, but basically it's a, just look on my phone while I'm talking to you, it's basically everything terrible, cystic fibrosis, cancer, everything rolled in one. Her parents we're all madly trying to raise money for a cure, basically, for it. And all the lunch, you know, what you guys paid me for lunch, I donated it to Grace, or Grace's foundation, and it's very close to my heart and a lot of people in this area's heart, because Grace is the most beautiful little girl, and it's a very, there's not many people Australia-wide with this disease, and it's just horrific.
So that was the hats and things that you were selling at the lunch stop that we did at your place.
Yeah, and I'll just excuse me for 2 seconds, and I'll show you what the hats are. And there's where do I put this? Anyway, it's fighting AT. So if anybody wants to know what it is, it's AT, the disease, and if you can pronounce it, you're a better person than me.
All right. Well, I can see your face, so if you put the hat roughly where your face is, we'll be able to see the hats.
I got my head.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I know a few of the guys in the club grabbed the hats when they were there. It was great.
It's just wonderful, and I get so much pleasure in, you know, a small part doing something for little Gracie.
Beautiful. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I hope everything improves for her, and hopefully the money that you're raising can go towards helping her out. And I'm really glad that we did what we did, and we're able to donate that $10,000. Now, I've got to make a quick special mention. There's a couple of organisations that gave us quite a bit of money towards that charity. So that was Can-Am Polaris, and Segway, which is three of the major manufacturers of buggies that have offices here in Australia, and they were fantastic in helping us out with that and supporting the club. And to all of those guys in the club that donated towards the charity as well, thank you very much. I know Lisa and the people up in the Pack Saddle area really appreciate it, and we'll bring it on bigger and better next year.
More than welcome to come up here. I'm only a phone call away, mate.
Good on you, Lisa. Thank you so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay, see you, Mick. Bye.
Thanks, mate. See ya. Alrighty, now since this is the last episode of the podcast for 2024, I want to give you a rundown on what's happening for 2025. Everyone's been hounding us trying to get some dates of what we're going to be planning for the South Australian portion of the club for next year, which we can actually give you now. I can give you the dates. Now, these are pretty much what the dates are going to be. Certainly book your holidays, do whatever you need to do. Keep in mind that all of our rides are over 2 to 3 days. So you don't need to have a hell of a lot of time off to be able to do them. That's the way we plan it. The rides for next year, as I hinted at, if you're already a club member, I did hint at roughly when they were going to be and the regions they were going to be in. The plan at this stage, and it may change depending on what happens in other states, April 4 to 6 is going to be the Coorong Sand Dunes. That's the opener for the season. So back to the Coorong, to those fantastic dunes that everyone loves. May 23 to 25, that's Flinders Ranges, so that's Central South Australia. There's a couple of different options that we've got, and we just need to determine exactly which of the properties that we're going to go and see. But it'll be a Friday afternoon ride, all day Saturday ride, head home Sunday, same as we normally do. And that'll be in the Central to Northern Flinders Ranges. So that's May 23 to 25. The third ride of the year, July the 11th to the 13th, is Scorpion Park. So back to that fantastic racetrack from the Thumb Pump 300. As Noodles set the new track out when we were there this year. It's a fantastic loop. It's about a 12 to 15 minute loop. Plenty of whoops, but the buggies really handle it well. Fantastic campground, only 20 k's from Pinaroo, so you can go in there to get your supplies if you need to. So awesome property, and that's a camp away. So back there, that's July the 11th to 13th. Then September the 5th, 6th and 7th is a big ride, and yep, we're back at Pack Saddle again. So I've got a couple of the boys from Vic in New South Wales who are going to go and do pre-running for us. And do some extra planning so we get some different areas to ride in this time. We've got that 1,000,000 acres that we can play in, and we're back up there based out of the Pack Saddle Roadhouse. So that's the plan for September the 5th, 6th and 7th. So it'll be riding from lunchtime on the 5th, which is the Friday, ride all day on the 6th, which is Saturday, and then head home Sunday morning, staying at the Roadhouse. So you can either camp or stay in the fantastic accommodation there at the Pack Saddle Roadhouse north of Broken Hill. And then the final ride for based out of SA for 2025 will be back at the dunes again. So everyone was saying they want to top and tail of the season with the Kingston Sand Dunes. So that's what we're doing. So October 17, 18 and 19 will be back at the Kingston Sand Dunes. All right, so the plan was to open another chapter next year. It still potentially will happen. And to give you an idea of where it's going to be, it'll be Tassie. Now, the reason why we're not announcing that it's definitely happening from the beginning of the year is because all of our insurance, which comes from Motorcycling Australia, they're in a little bit of turmoil at the moment. I don't know how close you guys are to that side of the sport to see what's going on, but there are some states that really aren't towing the line and doing the right thing according to the national controlling body and the insurance company. South Australia is doing a killer job, having no problems at all. Just some of the other states are causing a bit of conflict, and nothing's been confirmed as of right now as to what's going to happen next year. We know we're definitely going to have all the insurance that we need to run our South Australian-based rides and the Pack Saddle ride and everything. No dramas, so that's easy. As far as doing rides over in Tassie, we're still waiting to find out 100% that everything's going to be fine. And so worst case scenario, I would say we'll probably do 1 or 2 rides in Tassie for 2025. It all comes down to that insurance. We're ready to go. We've got our crew over in Tassie ready to go. We've got most of the properties all sorted out and ready to go. We're just waiting on the insurance side of things. So all things going well in the new year, we'll be able to announce that we'll be doing a bunch of rides over in Tassie as well. So for the Tassie residents or for people who want to travel to Tassie. But unfortunately, right now, I can't tell you exactly what that's going to look like until we get the insurance side of things sorted out. So stay tuned. Keep looking on the podcast and listening to the podcast, and keep your eye on the social media. As soon as we know, I'll be sending an email out anyway to all club members. So if you're not a club member already, sign up. It's free. And we'll get you all that information as we know 100% what's going on. All right, guys. It's just pre-Christmas, 2024. I hope you guys have a fantastic break if you're getting a break. Don't ride if it's too hot. Stay safe. And we'll come back next year with plenty more podcasts, plenty more rides for the Side-by-Side Club of Australia. Another big thank you to all of our sponsors and all of those supporters who chipped in and helped out with the podcast and to the club during 2024, our first year. It's been a stellar year. We certainly ticked all the boxes that we originally set out to do, and then some. And we've got some massive plans for moving forward as well. So all the help that you guys have given, really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you in 2025.